guys, you're listening to ChickFlicks with me, your host, Alexis Otang. I am so happy to be back. First of all, I am so sorry for a little bit of a hiatus. Life caught up with me and I had so many opportunities I've been able to do that ChickFlicks had to be put on the back burner a bit. I'm so sorry, but I'm back. It's a new year and I promise you guys I'm going to get you out more episodes that come out on a regularly scheduled basis, okay? But I am back with a movie review. I know it's been a while since I've done one of those. As you know, previously when I was putting out episodes, I wasn't doing a movie review in solidarity with WGA and SAG-AFTRA. But now that the strike is been over, I am back to reviewing movies. And I'm so happy that the first movie I'm reviewing now that I'm back is going to be Mean Girls. That's why I have my little plushie. He's a little angry, right? Mean Girls were mean, right? I'll flip it over into happy maybe a little bit later. But I'm going to be reviewing Mean Girls, the musical, the 2024 version. As you know, Tina Fey has produced her musical adaptation of Mean Girls from 2004. Now, this originally came out on Broadway in 2018, and it had critically acclaimed, people loved it, and now she's made a movie version of the musical. Get that? Great. So I'm really excited to review it today. I watched it with a friend. I also went and watched the musical from 2018 and the original so that I would have like a clear mindset going into this review, kind of see all different versions of this story and decide how I like the 2024 version. That makes sense? Hopefully it did. But no more talk. Let's jump straight into the video. I'm going to kind of splice this up into a general overview of information for the film. We're going to go into the storyline. We're going to go into the cinematography, the cast and characters, and the music, and then my final thoughts. You ready? Let's go. Starting off with our general overview, the cast is stacked with a lot of faces that you might be familiar with. First of all, Reneé Rapp, who did play Regina in 2020 on Broadway. She's a renowned Regina. People love her for this role. It kind of put her on the map for her vocal talent. Of course, her music has also put her on the map. You might also know her from The Sex Lives of College Girls. I love that show. It's such a good show. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. You can see how much of a great actress Reneé Rapp is and how much she's so good at playing like the stuck-up, snobbish rich girl. But she's a rich girl with a heart of gold, low-key, in The Sex Lives of College Girls. So love that show. We have Angourie Rice as Katie Heron, Alali Carvalho as Janice. I'm going to try to pronounce this as properly as possible. I remember I looked at pronunciation. It's totally gone from my mind. Lemi Ike. They changed Janice to be of Pacific Islander Hawaiian descent because Alai is playing it. And I honestly like that because they also did that for Avantika Vanderpoo, who's playing Karen Shetty, a member of the Plastics. As you know, it's originally Karen Smith in the 2004 version, but it's Karen Shetty now. And then, of course, B.B. Wood as Gretchen Wieners, Christopher Brinley as Aaron Samuels, who you may know from The Summer I Turned Pretty, Jenna Fisher as Katie Heron's mom, Miss Heron, Busy Phillips as Miss George, Regina's mother, Tina Fey as Miss Norbury, reprising her role, and Tim Meadows also reprising his role as Principal Duval. So, really great cast here. It was directed by Samantha Jane and Arturo Perez Jr. And of course, it was produced by Miss Tina Fey. So, getting all that away, I do think that this cast is pretty talented. In what ways? I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But let's talk about the storyline. If you're coming into Mean Girls, never seeing the musical, only seeing the movie, you can expect the same story. You know, some of the big highlights in the film: Katie coming from Africa, going to a new school, getting in good with the hot clique at the school, most popular clique of girls, the Plastics, falling for Aaron Samuels, the same old, same old. A lot of those plot points we know in the original movie are here in the musical. There are some changes for the musical adaptation that they did for Broadway and also for this film. Now, if you are a fan of the musical, you've seen the original movie, and you're coming into this like wondering what's changed from the musical, it's pretty much the same format with some changes to the plot and story. Some, you'll also find that there are songs that did not make the cut, which Tina Fey explains for timeline wise. They are running this is a movie, so they don't have as much time as the Broadway play does. I guess, in my opinion, I feel like they could have honestly made it a little bit longer, but neither here nor there. Looking at my notes. If you are coming into this as a fan of the musical, there's a lot of the songs there that you know and love, but there are a couple that did get cut. Now, should they have been cut? I'm going to talk about that more later on in this video. When it comes to the storyline, I think they nailed the comedy bit. Okay, the comedy in this film is really, really good. Someone who makes the comedy the top tier that it is, Damien, played by Jaquel Spivey. Oh my God, he was hilarious. My other friend who saw the film before I did told me, you're gonna love him. He's such a great Damien. He does the role justice, and she was right. I'm telling you, every time that he gets a line, he eats it up. He steals the show, and he's one of the highlights of this film for me. So when it comes to the comedy, it kind of makes up for some of the plot holes and questionable choices that they made. Going to this film, I felt because Tina Fey wrote it, she wrote the film and the musical, the storyline, I felt like she would be the best person to decide what should get cut from the original movie and from the musical. But some of the choices made are questionable to me. I don't understand what they were going for, or I see what they maybe potentially were trying to do, but I just feel like it doesn't pay off. But when it comes to the storyline, if you know the Mean Girl story, you won't be surprised or confused. It's a lot of the same. It's all going towards the same ending in my book. So moving on to the cinematography. This is an area where they absolutely nailed it. I love the look of the film. The choreography for all of the musical numbers are great. The songs that they do choose to include, I think they do it pretty justice in the shooting of it, the visual aspect, the aesthetic. Like I said, the choreography, it looks really well. It's really inviting. You can get into the mood of each song. Some of the songs that I really loved, Revenge Party. Revenge Party was really good. And the way they shot it in the hallway, the confetti, the whole moment, they killed it. You cannot tell me anything about that. They also did Somebody Gets Hurt. I believe that's the name of it. Is it Somebody Gets Hurt? Someone Gets Hurt. The way they did it at the party with Reneé Rapp, killed it. They also changed her costume in the musical version. I think she's like a bunny, like original. She's like in a little red bunny costume. They made her an angel. I feel like that was great nod to how like she looks like an angel, but baby, this girl is a devil, a wolf in sheep's clothing. And she just looks so amazing. The way it was shot, the way it looks, like, gorgeous beast. If you love Reneé Rapp, you are gonna love that song. And yeah, I feel like every single musical number, Sexy, Stupid with Love, Apex Predator, the way they decided to shoot it, the choreography done for it, looks really good. And they do justice to the musical in the numbers. Totally have nothing to say about it. You're definitely gonna love it. It's a real good treat. Getting into the cast and characters. Well, last thing I'll say on cinematography before we get into that, I think cinematography-wise, it's the strongest point in this film. Their cinematography cannot be touched. The whole thing is shot so well. Like, I cannot stress it enough. So when it comes to an area where they shined, you can bet you will enjoy the look of this film. Okay, getting into the cast and characters. Obviously, the cast that stands out are, no surprising, Reneé Rapp. Regina is a role that she's honestly born to play. She's such a good Regina. And with what she's giving, I think she makes the best of it. I will say, though, I think she was pulling back when it comes to her vocals because, in my opinion, some of the casting was not made for the vocal talent or for the musical aspect of this film. It was made for the acting. Like when it comes to Aaron Samuels, he's played by Christopher Brinley, who I said is from The Summer I Turned Pretty. He does not sing even a freaking note in this film. Like, he does not sing at all. And at first, I was kind of like, okay, weird. And then I found out that when he originally was offered this role, he turned it down because he's like, I can't sing. And they said, we'll cut out all of your musical parts. What? I'm sorry. That is a choice for me. I feel like they wanted to cast him because of his hype surrounding The Summer I Turned Pretty, him being Conrad. And I just feel like that wasn't the best choice to make because he is an important character. He is her love interest. To cast him knowing he cannot sing, he's already told you, I don't sing, like, I don't feel comfortable taking this role because I'm not vocally gifted in that way. And you still want to cast him. I feel like you went into this knowing that you just wanted him for the hype surrounding the film. The hype surrounding his looks. And he is a good actor. When it comes to the acting part, he does a great job. But it's hard for me to ignore that, like, in a musical where practically everybody sings except for Miss Norbury, Mr. Duval, and Gretchen kind of gets like one song. One little bit. I wouldn't even call it a song. She gets a couple of lines of notes, and it's not even made into a whole musical number. It's kind of like made a joke of, in a way. But other than those three, everybody else sings. Everybody else sings. Maybe also Miss Heron, Jenna Fisher's character, the mom, she doesn't sing. But like, those characters are not as integral to the story as Aaron Samuels. And the fact of the matter is, he does have a song in the original Broadway adaptation. It's, let me make sure I say it right. More is Better. More is Better. That's the song. It's a duet with Katie. It happens during the party. I feel like that was such a missed opportunity to add more depth to the character, especially because when Tina Fey wrote Aaron Samuels for the Broadway adaptation, she wanted to make him more of a character that wasn't like a shallow jock, that actually had depth. He was this, super sweet, like he was very popular, but he had depth to him. He wasn't shallow as I guess he was in the film. And this song truly shows how he really likes Katie for who she is, her awkward, not really socialized self. He likes that about her. And them taking it out, his role in the film doesn't hit as hard as it needs to. Especially because the other storyline parts with him that happens in the musical, they don't include. So I really question the choice of casting Christopher Brinley and taking out all of his musical choices. He does great in the acting, but I just don't think I can overlook him not singing. And like I said, let's go into Angourie Rice. I don't think she was a bad singer. I see some people dragging her on Twitter and on social media. I don't think she was a bad singer, but when you put her next to Reneé Rapp, it's not even close. And for her to play in like literally the main character of Mean Girls, other than Regina, she needs to be bringing the same vocal level as Reneé. And the funny thing is, Reneé was holding back. She was holding back. I've seen the musical version of her. I've seen her in the musical on Broadway. Thank you, YouTube, Slime Tutorials. If you get what I just said, you get it. I've seen that version and I've listened to this version. It's not close. And that's not to say she didn't kill it. She killed it with the music in this role, but knowing what she can deliver and the fact that I think she had to pull back so she didn't overshadow the cast says a lot. Like, what are we doing here? Literally. I think that she did great when it comes to the acting part, but again, it was not as strong as I feel like it could be in the musicals, in the musical numbers. And another indicator that they knew that was they cut out It Roars, which is one of her big solos, in the beginning. Instead, they do, what's the other song they do? Instead of It Roars, they do What Ifs. I don't think that was in the original. It's not in the original from what I can tell. It's like, arranged version, like a remix in a bit. I'm not really sure, but it was cute. It definitely suited her voice way better. And it, you know, she didn't do it bad. But when you know what Katie's supposed to sing, and how much of a powerhouse she's supposed to be in the musical version on Broadway, it's hard to not critique. It's hard to say that she just isn't at the same level as I feel like Katie should have been. But I think she did a pretty good job for what she was handed and what they created for her. But yeah, like I said, I don't think this cast, except for Reneé Rapp, Alani Carvalho, and Jaquel Spivey, I think those three were casted because they were great actors and had great musical prowess. I don't know if the rest of the cast was casted with that in mind. And what also tells me that might be the case is because Gretchen also has a song and she has some solos in Meet the Plastics. They cut out both of Karen and Gretchen's parts in Meet the Plastic. So we only get Reneé Rapp's. Which of course she kills it. Like, that's the most important part. But people love Gretchen and Karen's parts in Meet the Plastics. So them cutting it out tells me that they knew that their cast wasn't this strong musically. Of course, they couldn't cut out Sexy, which Avantika kills it. I love the musical number Sexy. She does a great job. But when I see her do it and she does it so well, I think, well, why wouldn't you just keep her Meet the Plastics part? And it makes me think maybe they just felt like it was going to get overshadowed. It wasn't going to live up to the hype surrounding those parts. So it's really sad. And then when it comes to songs that they decided to cut out, I'm going to talk more about the songs they did decide to cut out when we get to the music part of this video. They didn't use Jaquel Spivey to his full talents, along with Alani, because Janice and Damien are supposed to be narrators. Like, they're supposed to narrate basically the whole thing in certain parts, and Fourth Wall Break, they only narrate at the beginning and the end. And they were some of the highlights of this film. So again, I don't get why they wouldn't utilize them more. Like, you have some great talent on your hands, utilize it as much as you can. But overall, like, I feel like when it comes to the acting portion, they did really great. And when it comes to their musical talent, the ones who can sing definitely showed that off. And the ones who can't, they try to, I guess, force them into the back as much as possible. Which I will say, when it comes to Avantika and BB's acting, it's really great. But it felt one note with Avantika. And it felt like the character development with BB's Gretchen, it just wasn't there. Like, they have this moment where she does a bit of her solo from the Broadway musical, but it's kind of made a joke of, like, it's not, I don't really feel like we're supposed to take it serious. And then we get a bit of character development there at the end that kind of answers to the solo in the beginning, but it just feels very half-assed in my opinion. And then with Avantika, she does a great job at playing Karen, you know, the spacey, not really there, bimbo aspect. She killed Sexy. But one thing that I love about Karen in the Broadway musical is that she is not as dumb as they try to make her out to be. Okay, she might not be the smartest girl. She might not be book smart, but she's very aware of the things that are happening. And there's this text combo that happens in the Broadway musical between her and Katie that kind of showcases that. And they didn't include it, which is weird because they included like one line and like kind of the context of that scene. It's like a text message dialogue, which, you know, in Broadway shows, sometimes when they do texting, they'll have their actors read it out. Literally, Katie gets a text from Karen that has part of that dialogue in it, but it's just like the spacey bimbo parts of it. They cut out all of that other dialogue that kind of showcases how insightful, how sweet, and a heart of gold that Karen is. And I feel like Avantika would have killed that. And I just don't understand why they could have, you know, done a two-way call, right? Or just a phone call. It doesn't need to be called a two-way call. But I don't get why they couldn't do a phone call to give her a little bit more of character dialogue, because they just kind of make her a bimbo all throughout. And she does it really well. But I feel like why not take it up that notch, especially when you have such a great actress on your hands? And like I said again, I feel like they don't use every actor and actress to their potential. Same with BB. She does really great with the Gretchen parts, being like spineless, being the right hand, looking for validation from Reneé, from Regina, and from what's his name? It's not Kevin, the guy that she's constantly like fawning over. Kind of forgot his name. But yeah, when it comes to the casting characters, they really do great on the acting part. And the ones who can sing, they sing the house down. All right, getting into the music, they changed and arranged the songs differently than what I thought. And like I said, some of the songs that they chose to include versus the ones they chose to cut, questionable. Okay, I feel like Gretchen should have gotten her, like she did get the solo, but it should have been taken more seriously. It should have been more of a moment and like an actual musical number. I feel like Fearless would have been such an amazing way to give depth into Gretchen and Karen's characters. Push the story along, showcase them more, because they're kind of scared of, like, I feel like in this rendition of Mean Girls, Reneé Rapp's Regina is a little bit more of a bully and way more scary, and would have been great to showcase how they finally stood up to her with Fearless. They don't do it. What's going on here? They didn't do more, less is more. I forgot it again. That song. Give me 1 second. More is better. They didn't do more is better, which would have been a great way to showcase how Aaron Samuels is not just this like shallow jock, right? All these songs, stop. That's sung by Damien, and Jaquel Spivey is a Tony-nominated actor. He can sing, and you choose not to let him do the solo, or you choose not to include the solo. What are we doing here? This is a movie musical. The music needs to be at the forefront of this film just as much as the acting. And the musical numbers that they do, I feel like they do it really great. They do it really amazing, which makes me sad, because just imagine if they would have done some of these songs they chose to cut. Now, I understand they're on a time crunch. They can't do every single song. But some of the ones they chose to cut, I feel like worked against them, especially because I feel like some of these characters are not developed as much as they need to be. All right. I feel like Katie is developed throughout. I feel like Janice is developed. I feel like Regina is developed. And I feel like those are the only three that are developed and honestly showcased as much as they could be. The rest, it's either one note or half-assed character development, in my opinion. Which I kind of go back and forth on, like, do I see where they were coming from? They're trying to showcase the best in this cast. Reneé Rapp is the star of this musical, and it is very clear. Like, they catered this Regina towards Reneé Rapp. And honestly, they even changed the styling of Regina to even fit more of Renee's style. And I don't think they were wrong for showcasing her, but I feel like there was a way to make her shine while not also leaving some of your other supporting cast behind. But the characters, that's not to say I didn't like the characters. I'm obsessed with Karen Schmetty. I'm obsessed with Damien. Like I said, those are some of the highlights of this film. And it just makes me feel like what else could have been if they would have highlighted them as much. But going in, like, back into the positives, like I said, I think this is a treat film. I feel like I'm harshly critiquing in a way because, like, that's my job and I'm getting down to the nitty gritty. But if we're just looking at the film as it's presented and you don't know the musical and the Broadway adaptation, I still think you enjoy the film. Like, if you're not comparing it to the Broadway version, I think standalone, it's really good. It's shot well. Some people are arguing about the fashions. I think everyone looked really great in this film. I loved the looks in it. I think the rocking around the pole looks, the Christmas Santa's Little Helpers looks, really great. Everything that they put Reneé in, I pretty much love. They're not lying though. On social media, there's a lot of jokes about the product placement. Yeah, it's as obvious as you think it is. Like, they're not really exaggerating. There are very much points where there's like a close up of the product and it's like angled perfectly where you clearly see what brand it is and that this is kind of a product placement. I'm not gonna lie. And sometimes I don't even care about that. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? At least you're honest. At least you're not trying to hide it. And you're being like, listen, this is a product placement. I can't be mad. I really can't. And honestly, a lot of the products that they were showcasing fit well within the Mean Girls universe. There are some people arguing, being like, Regina George would never use this or use that. Some of your favorite influencers who are that it girl use e.l.f. So let's stop playing with ourselves, okay? Some of your favorite influencers literally die by e.l.f. and are like, the dupes are amazing. So I'm inclined to believe that if it's a trending product, of course Regina would be using it, okay? That's my personal opinion. On Tina Fey's reprisal of her role, I think it was good. Like, I still love Tina. The cameos were really cute. Lindsay Lohan's cameo, adore. I think that was a great way to include her into the film. Anytime we can get Lindsay Lohan in a cameo for Mean Girls, I'm all about it. And then there was another cameo that might have not been so obvious to you if you do not follow the Broadway musical and you're not really well-versed in the TV universe. Ashley Peak, or is it Ashley Peg? Excuse me if I said that last name wrong. She was the French teacher. She originated the role of Gretchen in Mean Girls on Broadway. So putting her as a French teacher was really cute because if you know her now, she stars in Emily in Paris. And that, of course, takes place in France, in Paris. She's speaking a lot of French in that show. So I thought that was a really cute way to involve her. And she's like one of the only original cast members who makes a cameo in the film. So I thought that was really, really cute. When it comes to people being like, there's not enough callbacks to the original movie, it's not the original movie. Like, it's based off of the Broadway adaptation. So I'm not even that mad about some of the things they didn't like exactly call back to. I do feel like they missed the opportunity to do that 4-way call and make that some type of musical number. Like, they're always adding new songs into movie musicals that are adaptations of Broadway plays. They're always adding a new like original song. That could have been that. I feel like they missed that opportunity. That 4-way call in a musical setting could have been killer. Could have ate down. So I wish they would have done that, but it's fine. I also feel like I wish they would have done, like, the only thing I have to critique about the musical numbers and the way they were done, I wish they would have done Apex Predator in the mall. I really wish they would have done it in the mall. I feel like it would have been amazing. But the way that they did it in the school, I think it works just as well. And I think my favorite musical number was I Want to Watch the World Burn. Reneé Rapp, any musical number she was in, it killed. But that one, the cinematography on that one went crazy. I loved it. And the last thing I'll say that I really loved, Jenna Fischer's casting. That was literally, that's Angourie Rice's mom. You can't argue with me on that. They look so much alike. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. I literally was like, is that her daughter? That's her mom. Like, this is not like movie magic. And again, I'm going to praise Jaquel Spivey. He was such a great Damien. The comedy is so good. Like, I can't get over it. There is one scene. It's going into the talent show. And if you've seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I could not stop laughing. I was literally crying because it was so genius. And it was exactly what Gen Z would do. It's exactly Gen Z humor. And it was genius. And so, yeah, guys, overall, I honestly did enjoy the film. Like, critiques aside, I still think it was so fun to watch. It was so fun to, like, see all the girls dressed up in pink, even though it wasn't Wednesday. It was so fun to see everyone enjoy. Love the film. I don't think they did that bad of a job advertising it as a musical. Everyone I asked knew that it was a musical. So some people being like, people are going to go in not knowing. Apparently only 16% of audience members didn't know that it was a musical. So I think they did the advertising right. And everyone also knew that it was an adaptation of the Broadway musical. So I think if you're going to go see this film, or if you're thinking about going to see this film, go see it for the nostalgia, with the musical twist, the comedy. It does really great in comedy. It looks really aesthetically and visually pleasing. And also, like, Reneé Rapp and Avantika look great in this film. especially in the boob area. Okay, they have some of the best boobs I've seen on the movie screen in a while. Um, and yeah, I think I'm gonna give this a solid 3 out of 5 or 3.5 stars. And I say go watch it and wear pink, of course, if it's Wednesday. If it's not Wednesday, you better not be wearing a tracksuit, or you can't sit with us. All right, guys. So I really enjoyed this episode here with you. If you want to keep up with me on my socials, make sure to follow me at Simply Alexis on TikTok, at Alexis Otang on Instagram, and at The ChickFlicks Show on both of those platforms. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you're listening on YouTube at Simply Alexis. And if you're listening on Spotify or SoundCloud, make sure you give this video or episode a like, leave a comment, do whatever you need to do, regardless of whatever platform you're listening to my podcast on. And thank you so much for your love and support. If you want to follow me on any other socials, they will be linked at the end of this video. So keep up with me on there. I'm so excited to get back into movie reviews, give you guys more content, and I promise it's going to come out on a more timely scheduled basis. So you can expect that. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. If you do go see Mean Girls, let me know. And this is Alexis signing off at ChickFlicks. You guys can always sit here if you need a place to chill, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.